Hey everybody, Mrs. Norris here. I am your child's 8th grade history teacher. Before I talk a little bit about what we've been doing this year, I did want to cover the logistics for tonight for open house. Unfortunately, open house is only an hour and each teacher is only going to be available on Zoom for about 5 minutes. So chances are we didn't get a chance to meet tonight, which is unfortunate, but that's just kind of the way things have been lately. So you can, obviously, as you are doing right now, watch this video and also check out your students' digital portfolio, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. So all of that said, let's get into it. So American history is one of my favorite time periods to teach. I really enjoy teaching it. It has been definitely a different experience for everyone in 2020, 2021, not only because of the pandemic, but because American history is tied so much to the things that are happening today in our culture, in our society, and in our politics. It's been a fortunate / unfortunate thing, all of the things that have been occurring in our world today, because it's given us an opportunity to talk about them and connect them to stories from the past. So it's been a really interesting, albeit different year for all of us. So the class starts with Unit 1, obviously, which is the American Revolution. We talk about what caused the colonists to want to break away from British control, their fight for that, and that really helped us to make connections to the revolutions that are happening around the world today. One of the activities we did in this unit was an activity where we talked about the different reasons why colonists would want to break away from the British rule. And then we made a video about our findings. So that was a pretty interesting topic. After the American Revolution, we obviously have the challenge of creating a new government completely from scratch, and from that new government came the Constitution. So we talked quite a bit about the Constitution and what it means and the rights that it gives us as American citizens. So we did cover the 7 principles of the Constitution, and we had a pretty interesting activity where we created a poster about the 7 principles of the Constitution. From there, we moved into westward movement and the development of the United States into what we see today. One of the things that we had to cover was the first president of the United States. And so that really brought us into having a discussion about what makes a good leader, because every leader had a different responsibility based on what was happening in the world during that time. We also talked quite a bit about the Texas Revolution, war with Mexico. We talked about the gold rush. We had a lot of interesting activities tied to the forming of the United States, again, into what we see today. Okay, and that definitely brings us into analyzing life before the Civil War. We talked quite a bit about the different reform movements, because those reform movements had a huge impact on us today. For example, the women's rights movement that started all the way back in the 19th century, education reform, prison reform. These were great opportunities for us to really connect what happened in the past to what's happening today. So it was some great thinking from us as students, but also as citizens of the United States. So with this activity, again, we talked about some of those different reform movements, and not only how they looked in the past, but what they look like today. Okay. And this is bringing us into where we are right now, which is the Civil War. We're looking at the different causes of the Civil War. And then hopefully before the end of the school year, that will bring us into post-Civil War United States. So it's a great time for us to, again, make connections between what happened in the past to what's happening in our current times, and see how people have overcome some of the challenges and also fought against the things that they believed in were right, not just for themselves, but for the community as a whole. So it's been a great great year for learning, definitely. So all of that said, if there was something that your student wanted to share with you in particular, it would be on the digital portfolio. So to the side over here is a list of the students' names alphabetically. You can find your student and have a look at their portfolio, and they can share with you some of the things that they learned in the class that maybe I didn't cover in this video in particular. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, because oftentimes what happens on open house is that there's a lot of conversation about grades, and not only did we have a pandemic and all of the other issues happening this year, but we also had a new learning management system, this Canvas, that we all needed to learn how to navigate together. So the gradebook looks a little bit different from what we've done in the past, and I just wanted to show that to you. Here is a sample student's grade. So currently this student has a C, and you can tell that their percentage is a 44%. Why is that? That is because we are in a pandemic. Everybody had different challenges. Nobody was in my presence until very recently, where I could help to guide them with the assignments and help them where they needed help, give them support where they needed support. So I gave a lot of grace in the grading. The thing as a parent you might want to look at is how many missing assignments they have. So you can see for this student, and this is just a fraction of the assignments from semester 2 alone, is missing all of these assignments. We're in May. There's not a whole lot we can do about it right now, but when your student moves on to high school next year, where we will likely be using Canvas in the district as well, just pay attention to those things. The letter grade is not a true reflection of your student's progress. You want to pay attention to their percentage as well as their missing assignments. So all of that said, if any questions came up tonight, anything that you need to speak with me about, please make sure that you send me an email via Canvas, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Also, before you leave, please again make sure that you check out your students' digital portfolio. Let them share with you the things that they've learned, not only in this class, but in other classes. And if you have questions, you can send me an email. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for visiting.